Hello everyone. In this video, I'm gonna do a little bit of channeling of one of my spirits that I work with. She is one of the spirits that is known in my practice for having a lot of great advice when it comes to relationships and soul contracts. Okay? So, what a lot of people don't understand. I'm just going to let y'all fall in, and then if you're watching the replay, you can skip forward till I start talking. So I was sitting having a cup of tea with Sam, and one of my spirit, we were talking about something. I don't remember what we were talking about, but we were talking about relationships and different types of relationships. And all of a sudden, one of my spirit guides steps in and goes, you know, the reason why people are failing in relationships is because they don't understand one of the major concepts of relationships. Like, the Matrix is a chess game. Right? So like this world that we live in is kind of like a chess game. And every single person that is put in our lives by our higher self is a piece in that chess game. Now, a lot of people are not going to like this analogy because a lot of people are like, people aren't pieces to be played with, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, that's how you might see the world. And that's how I love to see the world. But unfortunately, a lot of the people who are playing people, that's how they see the world. They see the world as a chess game and people as pieces that they can manipulate and that they can play and that they can use to their benefit, okay? Because that's the way that this matrix is very much set up. And what happens is that our higher self knows that and chooses to play the game as well in a different way. Instead of playing the game to use people, our higher self plays the game to grow its soul, to grow its knowledge of human relationships, okay? And here's the thing. Every person that your higher self puts in your life is an investment, okay? And the test is you learning when a person is worth your investment or not, okay? Some people are worth the investment, some people are not. The test is you learning how to discern which people in your life are good investments and which people are temporary investments, right? It's kind of like stocks. Some stocks, you have to allow them to mature, right? So like, I get a lot of people that get really, really mad. A lot of women that I see get really mad because they're with a guy. So they're with a guy. You know, the guy's been, you know, they've been with this guy for like 16 years. And then they finally get tired of waiting for this person's potential, right? And they break up with this guy. And then this guy, like, I don't know, has like an epiphany and decides that he's ready to mature now and he's going to like get married and like all of a sudden like starts to really focus on his business and like becomes a millionaire, and people get mad and his ex gets mad like, oh, his new wife gets to have all the things that I sacrificed for and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And in reality, sometimes it was meant to be. You were meant to actually not be part of that. You were meant to be part of you were an investment for them because you got to like, you held up the relationship while they got to kind of work on whatever they wanted to work on, right? And therefore, you know, you kind of aren't meant to really be part of when the stock matures, if I should say, if I can say it that way. And when I say stock, I mean when that person matures and actually steps into their potential, sometimes it's not meant for you to experience that. Maybe it's because you didn't set the right boundaries from the beginning. Maybe it's because you were in the relationship for the wrong reasons. Maybe it's because the relationship was supposed to teach you self-worth and self-value and communication and patience or whatever. So the thing is that every person in our life plays a role, and people are investments, right? So what makes a good investment is what I asked my spirit guide. And she goes, a good investment usually is a person that is honest, loyal, and a person who makes effort towards what they are promising. So if somebody is honest with you all the time, if they're loyal to you all the time, and if they're actually making effort, and you can see the effort towards what they are promising, then that's a good investment, right? Maybe that investment just needs time to mature, like a stock may need time to mature, right? If someone is lying to you, there's a saying that my grandfather used to always say, it's better to have a thief in your house than a liar. Because when you have a thief in your house and something goes missing, you know the thief probably stole it. But when there's a lie in your house, it's very hard to tell if that liar is lying or not. And sometimes some people are really, really good at lying, right? So if you have a master liar, then you are going to have a hard time figuring out what's right and what's not. And you might even lose yourself along the way trying to figure out whether this liar is worth it, whether this person is telling you the truth. Because a person who lies once is going to lie again. A person who cheats once is going to cheat again. It's just what it is, unless that person matures. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who get stunted at the age of 15. Like, I know, I read for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that I work with. And I have a few clients that are no longer with me, that literally were 15-year-olds in a 63-year-old body, right? So you have a 63-year-old body, but you have a 15-year-old mind where you're still behaving in life like you did when you were in high school. That tells me that you have shadow work that you need to do, that you have inner child work that you still need to do, and you could be old physically, but be extremely immature spiritually and mentally and emotionally. And that's why too, sometimes it took me a really long time to be able to give grace to some people who were considered my elders, because they were behaving in a way that was very emotionally immature, yet they were considering themselves elders. But one of the things that my spirit guides once said to me, becoming an elder has not that much to do with your physical age, but actually your emotional intelligence and your mental, emotional, and spiritual maturity and intelligence. And you have 80-year-old children walking around that refuse to grow, right? A lot of people that I see, they have, dads that are like 80 and they're homophobic and they don't talk to their sons anymore, or they don't talk to their daughters anymore because they're still in that teenage mindset of only following what society thinks it's right. When you actually grow up, that's when you actually start becoming a more independent mind. When you emotionally and mentally and spiritually grow up, you become a more independent mind and you start to discern more for yourself, Okay. And usually people who are very emotionally mature have a hard time following like strict religions, because they know, they can discern that those things are not the truth. Not everything in these religions are the truth, right? They're able to take and discern the truth from different places. And that's one of the biggest lessons that my spirit guides have taught me, right? What I had to learn in my journey as a priestess for the last 2 decades is that what was stunting my growth and my ability to determine people's worthiness as an investment was my inner child trauma and my shadow self trauma, my teenager's trauma, right? Because we get stuck at different ages depending on the trauma that we experience. And also not just the trauma, but also when we learn certain lessons, right? So like when we are imparted with limiting beliefs from our parents, who most of the time when someone has children, it's because they still have a lot of emotional, mental, spiritual growth to do. Because if you talk to anybody who does past life regression or who does soul contract work, they will tell you that children are karma. Most of the time, your children are karma. And a lot of the times, boys come in to give like good karma to the mother, and a lot of times girls come in to teach the mother how the mother needs to grow, and then vice versa for the father. Like the boy comes in to teach the father lessons, and the girl comes in to give the father good karma. Okay, so your children are karma in your soul contract. When your higher self sees that you're not learning a lesson, that you're going to have to learn this lesson through your child, your higher self decides, okay, you're going to have these children as your karma, as the karma or dharma is what they call it in Eastern philosophy. But, okay. Yes, exactly. That's very true. So women are given a son when she needs to learn to love herself unconditionally, not to make that son her emotional husband, but to actually learn to love herself unconditionally. And I've noticed women who have boys, they tend to come to me and they're like, you know what, before I had my son, I used to care so much what people thought about me. And now that I have my son, I've learned to love myself and I no longer care what people think about me. And then when they have girls and they still need a lot of growing up to do, there's usually a lot of friction, okay? There's also like the children that are being born right now that are being more vocal about non-binary genders and stuff like that. These are the children that are supposed to teach us that we have alien DNA, that we have extraterrestrial DNA, and to open up our minds to the idea that there may be more than just girl or boy, because there are actually extraterrestrial beings that are interspecies, right? So like you have the goddess Bastet. She was half cat and half human. She actually is an extraterrestrial being from Sirius, from the Sirius constellation. A lot of our gods and angels were actually extraterrestrial beings that came here. Our ancestors knew this. They were the sky people, the people that came from the sky. They gave our ancestors technology, knowledge of medicine. They edited our DNA in order to help our species evolve faster. Recently, I read an article that, and this is something that Spirit has been telling me for a really long time. We've talked about this before in previous videos. But it also has to do with soul contracts, right? So some of the people that are here that are like trans or non-binary, or they identify as a different species or whatever, a lot of them are here to introduce us to the idea the fact that there are intergalactic species out there that are not girls or boys. And the fact that, which you will come to find out, I'm pretty sure within the next 10 years it will be publicized, that the truth of the fact is that when the Bible says that God created us from in his image, right? Or when the Quran says it, or when like any kind of spiritual practice says that, it is because the gods that our ancestors knew used to be extraterrestrials who had much further advanced technology than us, much further emotional, spiritual intelligence than us, and actually helped build the matrix which the humans originally lived in and were allowed to develop in and grow. And the matrix which a lot of us who have spiritual gifts are actually beings from other galaxies that have incarnated into human bodies in order to teach ourselves lessons and to teach humans lessons, other humans lessons through soul contracts. Okay? A lot of those of us who are called to be psychics, like myself, I've been able to, through past life regression, experience through past life regression and hypnosis. My hypnotist never suggested anything to me. My hypnotist did the same thing that I do when I do past life regressions through hypnosis. I simply walk you through what is going on. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what's going on. Because what we do in past life regression through hypnosis is that we retrieve your past life memories from the archive in your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind has memory of all of your lives. Your conscious mind can only handle so much information at a time. So you only access certain information. That is why when you have a trauma, when you experience a trauma, your body remembers the emotional aspect of that trauma. Your body may remember even the emotional connection. I had a reading yesterday where I saw that in this current lifetime, this couple was experiencing a lot of problems in their relationship because one of the people in the couple was very jealous, and the other person couldn't understand why. And I looked at their past lives, and I saw that in the past life, the one who was always jealous was always being cheated on by the other person who was getting the reading. And, you know, I will never disclose who that person is because it's all confidential. But Spirit told me that I am allowed to share the knowledge that I learned. So when you have a very strong connection to somebody, like a twin flame, soulmate energy, you have subconscious memory of that person, but you don't have any conscious memory as to why, right? So the girl was jealous, but she doesn't have the conscious memory of why she feels this way. She loves this person, she's attracted to this person, but she doesn't have the subconscious, she doesn't have the conscious memory, the knowing in this lifetime as to why she distrusts that person, even though that person hasn't cheated on them in this lifetime, hasn't been unfaithful to them in this lifetime, but because they were in a past life and they have the memory, the emotional memory of it, but they don't have the conscious memory of it because it's subconscious. So what happens is that this person has dreams about what happened in their past lives and gets upset about it to the current person that they are with, right? Not the past life person, but the actual current incarnation of that person. Even though the current incarnation of that person is paying the karma that they accrued from the behavior that they had in the past life. So every person is an investment, and every person can either be an investment or is a lesson. So some of us suffer because we choose to elongate the lesson longer than we were meant to. We refuse to let go of the pawn to get the king. or we refuse to let go of the pawn to get the queen, right? So that's why I said the Matrix is set up like a game of chess, because you have to learn to discern who are your pawns. Exactly. Who are your pawns and who are your major players, right? Who are your rooks, for those of us who understand chess? Who are your rooks? Who are your bishops? Who are your kings and queens? Because the pawns are meant to be sacrificed for when it's time for us to elevate to the next level of what we are meant to elevate to in this and every incarnation. And by sacrifice, I mean you might have to sacrifice a relationship with someone who is, playing the pawn. The pawn is really there just for those lessons that you need to learn, those quick lessons. So, moral of the story is that everyone's a lesson or an investment. Some people need time to mature, and the ones who just need time to mature are usually the ones that show loyalty, that show honesty, that show effort. Those are just the ones that need time to mature into their full potential. And then there are the ones who usually will never mature while you're with them, are usually the ones that have the cheating problems, have the lying problem, have the disloyalty problem. Don't make an effort, sit on the couch every single day and pretend that they are going to do something and never actually do anything because they've gotten comfortable in the role that they play in your life, because every single person is an actor in our play. So these are the things that we study that I study with my spirit guides, and that a lot of people are still trying to learn when they study astrology and dark psychology and subconscious psychology. Yeah. So sometimes people come to me and, I get it. When you fall in love with someone, it's really hard to let go. But a lot of the times the lesson is learning to let go, because some people are just meant to teach you a lesson. A lot of people, they're like, oh, I want my soulmate. I want my twin flame. But when you ask for your soulmate, your twin flame, that's not what Hollywood is selling you. Hollywood is selling you this fairy tale. Oh, your soulmate. Oh, twin flame. But when you're a soulmate, that means you are a soul's mate. You are a friend of a soul, because the word mate means friend or partner. A soul's partner on the path of learning. Okay? People who have a lot of spiritual lessons to learn usually have soulmates. People who have generational curses to break usually have soulmates, because your soul is not able to do it all by itself, because maybe the generational curse is so crippling that you need the assistance of that other person to help you. You need that soul friend to help you. You need that soul partner to help you. When you're a twin flame, it means that you both rise together and you both fall together, like a flame. So you both either go up together, whereas soulmates, one of them could be down, the other one can be up, and they kind of support each other. With a twin flame, you have to be on the vibration of that person. And if your twin flame is a toxic twin flame, and they're a karmic twin flame, you're going to experience a lot of suffering within the relationship. Whereas when you are a divine twin flame, you will still experience a lot of challenges, but usually the challenges are with the people around the relationship, not within the relationship. Usually the challenges are maybe health challenges, health problems in divine twin flame relationships. Maybe families not wanting you guys to be together. It could be something like challenges like if it's a same-sex couple, or those kinds of challenges that divine twin flames go through usually are from outside influence on the relationship, outside pressure. It's kind of like adding gas to the fire. So divine twin flames, people who are meant to be power couples, are divine twin flames, and they usually will get gas thrown on them as challenges from external of the relationship. Yeah, interracial couples, two different faiths, usually from outside the relationship, there's a lot of pressure. Those are usually divine unions that are meant to be power couples, that are meant to learn to let go of attachments. And your soul has to be at a very high spiritual level by the time that you get to divine twin flame, because you have divine twin flames are souls that are meant to become leaders or examples in their community. So a toxic twin flame is just somebody who will drag you down with you or will lift you up. But usually divine twin flames are helping you climb the ladder, whereas toxic twin flames are usually helping you descend the ladder into more of the toxic behaviors. There are times where a soul contract is edited and a soulmate can become a twin flame, and vice versa. That depends on your higher self and how your higher self edits your contract with the person. There are some people, and some people don't like to accept this, that came here to be alone because their lesson is to be alone. And you'll see them get married 3-4 times, and no matter what, their relationship doesn't work out. And it's usually because their lesson is to learn to detach, to not be an energy vampire, and to be alone, to learn how to be okay being alone in themselves. Yes, soulmates can come in form of friends as well, can come in form of platonic relationships. It doesn't just have to be romantic. It really depends on the situation that your higher self sets up for you. That's why I say, yeah, it's great to wish for a twin flame, for a soulmate, but you are really asking for a relationship with a lot of challenges. Are you up for the challenge? Yeah, sometimes your spirits want you to be by yourself. It's not your spirits that want you to be by yourself, by the way. It's your higher self. Your spirits are just the ones who facilitate the journey that your higher self wants you on. So your spirits are just guides. They're just advisors to you based on the journey that your higher self set up for you to go down. So if your higher self is saying, so-and-so needs to go from point A to point B, the job of your spirit guides is to advise you on the best path to get from point A to point B. It's up to you whether you choose to follow that path. It's up to you because you have free will. Whether you choose to follow that path, whether you choose to have discernment within yourself. A lot of people, they get to a certain spiritual enlightenment, and then when they have religious trauma that they haven't healed, they get faced with a lot of attacks from religions or religious people. And a lot of the times they think, oh, am I being attacked by these religious people because they're right? Or am I being attacked by these religious people, because God doesn't want me to follow my own path? And the truth is, most of the time, that's a test to see if you will give up your own knowledge of God for what other people want you to believe is the truth about God. And that happens in relationships as well. Sometimes you are put by yourself so that you have to learn how to discern your own energy and how to control your own energy and manage how you put your energy out into the world. When you have a past life where you are a very destructive person, you are usually placed into a life where you have to be alone so that you can experience what your energy is like to other people. Or you are put in a relationship where the other person is abusive to you so that you experience what your energy is like. Now, I'm not victim shaming. I'm not saying that you earned your abuse or whatever. But like, I've gone through abuse and I've come to understand why my higher self put me through those lessons. Like, I've always been very called out since I was a child for speaking my truth. And one of my biggest lessons my whole life has been learning to detach from what other people want me to say or do and learning to follow my intuition. Because in order for me to be a guide, which is written all over my astrology clearly depicts that I was meant to be a spiritual guide. My human design clearly depicts that I was born to be a spiritual guide. My numerology, my readings with my loa, my readings, even when I've gotten readings with babalaos, it all depicts that I was meant to be a spiritual guide. That's what my higher self. When I do my past life regressions, my relationship with people is usually that of being a spiritual guide. And I once asked, why am I put in the position of being a spiritual guide in every single lifetime? And one of my past life regressions showed me that I was an extraterrestrial being from a higher consciousness that wanted to help humanity grow. Specifically, the things that I mastered as an extraterrestrial being was, and my soul is about 24,000 human years old, according to the records that I have seen in my past lives and in my readings and everything that has been done for me by other practitioners as well along my path. So my role has pretty much always been in every lifetime either the role of being a spiritual shaman or witch or healer or spiritual guide. I've had some past lives that I've seen myself on other planets and other and out in outer space. I've had lives where I've been a mermaid and I've been in underwater. I've had lives where I actually was a madam in a brothel in Massachusetts. I've had I've had lives in the future. I've had lives in the past, obviously in the past. I've had lives in the very recent past, in the 1950s. I had a life in the very recent future where I died in the, I believe it was 2190, it was told to me. So the reason why I bring that up is because it's to show you how everything that you are experiencing is part of your soul contract. It's all part of your soul contract and based on whatever role you're supposed to play. Some abuse that your higher self sets up for you, some of it is for helping you. It depends. Every person is different. This is not everybody's case, but if you've gone through certain abuse as a child, it's not usually because of karma. It's for one or two things. Either the person was the abused you was influenced by a lower vibrational entity, like a demonic entity. So therefore, that was karma that person accrued, and then they now owe you. Or you may be someone who was meant to overcome that trauma and then help other souls that were not as strong as you overcome that trauma as well. So your lesson then, if that is the case, because not everyone who's abused was, not everyone who was abused was designed that way, I should say, by your higher self. When your higher self designs abuse into your life path, it usually has to do with you overcoming that and teaching other people how to overcome it. If your higher self didn't write in that abuse into your soul contract, it's usually karma that other person will accrue, that they will owe you, because they allowed their vessel to be weak enough to be possessed by a dark entity, which then did that abuse upon you. Because I can promise you, most people who perform abuse have been influenced by dark entities, because they don't have the discernment, and they leave their body because they might drink, they might use drugs, they might use substances that will make their spirit separate from their body, which then leaves their vessel unattended. And any entity that wants to cause chaos can possess that vessel and commit acts, heinous acts, against anybody in that vicinity. So those are some of the things that in the matrix, in the soul contracts, which is the reason why we're able to even accrue karma, is because when we do behaviors that allow us to be out of control of our bodies, and something possesses that body to do something, you accrue that karma because you left that body unattended, right? So when I say that, what I mean by that is, if you're abusing alcohol, if you're abusing drugs or substances, which cause you to leave your spirit to leave your body, and that body is then possessed by a lower vibrational entity, which possession by lower vibrational entities only happens when you leave your body unattended. It usually doesn't happen when you are properly trained and prepared to be a spirit vessel, like I am. I'm a spirit portal. So the higher vibrational entities like angels, Loa, the mysteries are able to possess my body to heal people. Okay? And they have to ask for my free will. They have to ask me permission. Whereas darker entities, when you leave your body unattended because you're either abusing alcohol or drugs or whatever, they have the ability to possess you without your free will choice, because you've already given up your free will by abusing a substance that was going to separate your spirit from your body. So then that's when we accrue karma, is when we are irresponsible with our vessels. When we're irresponsible with our vessels, darker entities can influence us. So if you're not taking care of yourself spiritually, you're not protecting yourself spiritually, you're not protecting yourself physically, you're not taking accountability and setting proper boundaries spiritually and energetically with other people, then their energy can influence you. If you are like watering yourself down because of what other people are doing, you are suppressing your own light, and then therefore you will accrue karma. They will accrue karma for abusing you, and you will accrue karma for suppressing your own light because of what was done. Because your light is your power. I committed I committed one of the worst acts against God in a past life. I exited the game before God said it was okay for me to exit the game. And it's in my numerology. It's in all of my astrology charts. It's in my numerology and all of that. I left on my family severe trauma because I exited the game before God wanted me to, because I was not capable of withstanding the energies of this planet. So I exited the game. I hurt myself, basically, is what I'm saying, in a past life. I exited the game before I was given permission to by my higher self, before I was given permission to by God. And because I did that, I put severe trauma on my family of grief and suffering in a past life. And I had to pay that karma in this lifetime with severe grief and suffering with my current family, where I am isolated a lot of the times from my current family, because I have to feel what my family felt when I did what I did in my past life. Because that's how my higher self believed would be the best way for me to pay back the karma that I accrued for hurting my family in a past life. So I had to, in this lifetime, suffer with my current family and go through a lot of issues and generational trauma breaking, generational curse breaking, and a lot of isolation from certain family members, because I hurt my family in a past life. In this lifetime, my family had to hurt me back. And that's how the karma was paid. And then until I understood that, my pain didn't stop. So I understood that when I did a ceremony with spirit to find out why. And once I understood that, and I said, okay, I forgive my current family, even though, you don't have to have relationships with them after you forgive them. I forgive my current family, and then I ended the soul contract with them. And then that pain stopped. That pain and that suffering and that grief was able to stop. So that's what happens. And the person who judges you is your higher self. Your higher self judges you and finds out whether your higher self, God is there almost like a witness. Your spirit guides are there as witnesses. Your spirit guides, your ancestors, your, God, your Orishas, goddess, all the beings that walk with you are there as like a witness for your soul at the weighing of your soul, which is done by your higher self. Your higher self is the one that says, I didn't learn all the lessons I was supposed to learn. So therefore, I have to send myself back in. Or I didn't complete the mission that I was supposed to complete, so I have to send myself back in. And when we forgive ourselves, we actually release karmas. When we are able to actually forgive ourselves and learn to love ourselves and learn to actually repent for the things that we did wrong, that's when the karmas are paid. The karmas can be absolved, I should say. When we repent, not when we repent for our sins. Our sins simply is another word for karmas. When we repent for our karmas, when we repent for the things that we did wrong to other people, when we take accountability, and then we forgive ourselves for it, and we learn to love ourselves and take accountability, and then we change our behavior, then your higher self says, okay, you've learned the lesson, I absolve you. Your higher self is a portion of God. So your higher self soul, which has a much higher understanding than you do in your ego self, in the soul that incarnates. Excuse me, it's very dry in here. Your higher self that has that higher understanding is able to then absolve you of that karma or sin. And then you are able to elevate to a much higher vibration. And then you are able to choose lives that are less difficult. So you can do a reading with me to speak with your higher self. I also do offer hypnosis sessions in person where we can call upon your higher self under hypnosis, and your higher self can speak through you to answer whatever questions you have, which we do under hypnosis. But yes, I do offer readings if you want. Usually the past life readings are the ones that are the best for finding out what lessons you're still learning. If you wanted to focus, like let's say if you book a deep channeled reading, if you say to me, I want to talk to my higher self in this deep channeled reading instead of my spirit guides, then I can talk to I can call your higher self instead of your spirit guides, and then deliver the message from your higher self instead of your spirit guides. Or both, you know, we can, if whatever we have enough time for. There are times like where your higher self might leave you alone. Have you ever seen like the NPC in the video game when we leave it alone and it just like walks around or like sits like this, right? Like when you're playing a video game and you have like an NPC in the background, or you have like your avatar, right? Our physical body is like our avatar in the video game, right? When we have a connection to our higher self and our spirit guides, our avatar knows exactly what to do, where to go to complete the missions, and what people to see, what relationships to build to complete the mission. When we are disconnected from our higher selves and our spirit guides, we go around in circles. Like our avatar just goes around in circles. Our ego takes over. And the avatar like just goes around in circles. I've actually had a pretty interesting experience recently where this might creep you out, guys. So have you guys ever seen the movie? Oh, not that movie. There was a show that my brother showed me a whole bunch of years ago, which was really creepy. I think it's called Westworld on HBO. And where like these people don't know that they're robots, right? Basically the consciousness, or some of them do know that they're robots, but the consciousness of like this really wealthy person gets put into like this robot or this avatar, but the avatar itself doesn't know that it's a robot, right? So I had this experience in a meditation the other day where I asked my higher self to show me what it's like when I'm not conscious. Okay? So what my higher self did was she placed two angels with me, and she separated her consciousness and my soul's consciousness from my body. And then the angels were like sticking their head in my body's head and talking. And my higher self was like, stop messing around with her. Because I have two angels that are really funny. Like they like to joke around. They like to like mess around. So these two angels that she put with me, they were like messing around. And I was like, so I'm basically just like my body is just an avatar walking around like with a soul, and you know, when it's connected to my higher self, when it's connected to my spirit guides, it has that divine connection, right? But when I'm unconscious, when we're unconscious, we're just empty shells. which is why in spirituality, they tell you it's very important for you to pray before you go to bed so that you can protect your body while your soul travels in the astral realm and visits with its family in the astral realm and visits, you know, other realms or dimensions or whatever. I do a lot of work in the astral realm. My higher self does a lot of work while I'm asleep in the astral realm. So I get a lot of clients where I'm doing work with them and then they'll have a dream with my higher self, and it's not me consciously going to them, it's my higher self going to them. So when I know we started this live about relationships and all that, which this is kind of all mixed together, but there's a lot of stuff that, first of all, I would never recommend to do certain meditations if you're a beginner, okay? Because you have to work yourself up to being able to handle mentally what you might see or feel or experience when you're doing certain meditations. Yes, relationship with your higher self is the most important relationship. You need to be able to, before you can trust what spirits you're talking to, you need to be able to know and discern when you're connected with your higher self or when there's other entities around. So that's why I say it's very important. I tell my initiates this all the time. It's very important for you to be trained and to take your time and to not to try to rush the spiritual process. Because I can tell you, if I had done that meditation where I asked my spirit, my higher self, to remove my soul from my body for a moment so that I could see what it was like to just be like that, I could see my empty shell from a different perspective. If I would have done that meditation at an earlier time in my spiritual journey, earlier in this lifetime, I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it. As a soul and as a spirit, I would have been able to handle it, but my mind wouldn't have been able to handle it in my current incarnation. So that's why I say when you are doing spiritual development, you need to take your time and not try to rush it, because when you do try to rush it, that's when fragmentation of the mind can happen. That's when you start having psychosis. That's when you start having visits from things that you don't want to have visits from. So you need to really start at the basics. How do I cleanse myself? How do I protect myself? And how do I safely travel in the astral realm? Or how do I safely meditate? Or connecting with your higher self, I would suggest, is the best thing to do first, and then to connect with your spirit guides and your guardian angels, which you can find out who your spirit guides and guardian angels are. Usually your spirit guides, your guardian angels, will approach you in your dreams and will tell you, I am your guardian angel, and you will get the sense that they are telling you the truth. If something else tries to approach you and tell you that they're your guardian angel or they're your spirit guide, and you feel like suspicious of them, that's your subconscious mind telling you that's not true. That's not your spirit guide. That is a trickster. So that's one of the best ways to tell when there's a trickster spirit trying to talk to you, is because your subconscious mind will give you this panic of, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. That is not your spirit guide. That is a trickster. That is somebody who's trying to trick you, okay? So that's one of the best ways to distinguish. Yeah, you can dream of an elder giving you a recipe, and if you feel safe with that elder in that dream, then it's them. If it makes you feel weird or iffy, it's not them. I once had a dark entity try to visit me dressed up as my spouse, and I got a really uneasy feeling, and I was like, no, get away from me. Like, I don't want to, no, get away from me. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. And this entity was trying to have relations with me in the dream. And I was like, this doesn't feel like you. This doesn't feel like you. And that was my higher self and my spirit guides and my subconscious mind telling me, this is not Sam. This is another entity that is trying to be an energy vampire on you and is trying to attack you while you're asleep, wearing the body of your spouse. I got it from, for those of you who are in love with this cup, this is Jack Skeleton. He's my favorite. I have to show you guys. He's my favorite Nightmare Before Christmas character because he looks like the Baron. See? I'm a child sometimes. And he talks. So, yeah, that's Jack Skeleton. He's my favorite. Nightmare Before Christmas character. So anyway, I got this I think at Spirit Halloween last year. Yes, so a trickster spirit can be who can take on the face of whoever they want to in your dreams, because they're in the astral realm. The astral realm is the fourth dimension. It's a free-for-all where the astral realm, and I have clients that do astral traveling and have come to me multiple times for multiple spiritual detachments because they were traveling the astral realm and they weren't protecting themselves properly, and they got spiritual attachments that they couldn't get off of them. So when you are traveling the astral realm, you have to be very careful, because the astral realm is the fourth dimension, which is kind of like the veil between the living and the dead, and anything can travel there. So anything, you know, your elders can come through there to talk to you, because that's where it's the most open. Your spirit guides can come through there to talk to you, but also tricksters can take up the face of people you know to talk to you, to try to influence you. If many spirits are trying to talk to you, you know, even trickster spirits, it's possible that your role in this matrix may be to be a medium that banishes trickster spirits and that helps regular spirits cross to the other side. Yes, I'm a child forever when it comes to the Nightmare Before Christmas. And I think he has more than one.
3 cheers for the Pumpkin King.
He has more than one setting. If they do manage to trick you in your dreams, they can steal energy from you, and then that's when you have to take spiritual cleanses, reset your aura, reset your energy. A lot of times what happens is they leave holes in your aura. So it's very important. I'm laughing at the comments about Jack. These trickster spirits, when they do manage to trick you in the astral realm, they leave holes in your aura, which make it easier for other things to attach themselves to you. If you get a spiritual attachment, then you would need to get help from someone who's a exorcist, like myself. I do exorcisms of spiritual attachments and demonic attachments, depending on the type of being that is attached to you. Yeah, I don't know if I would be able to ever download everything that comes through my brain and comes through my channel into a book. I feel like it would be a never-ending rant of information. That's cool. If you have a really strong connection to darker things like Halloween stuff, it's usually because you probably were a witch in a past life. But most of the time it's because you're probably a shadow healer, someone who came here to heal people's shadows. So you might be someone who's a shadow healer, and you might have spirit guides that are actually underworld spirit guides. And the underworld spirit guides are very powerful spirit guides. They're not evil on their own, but the underworld spirit guides are usually there to teach you, you know, beings like Persephone, La Santa Muerte, the Gedeses, the Barons. They're usually there to teach you the importance of life, and also to help you with any mission that has to do with like mediumship. So a lot of the times people who are drawn to like Halloween a lot is because they're natural born mediums or shadow workers. Yeah. So it's very common for people. Also, are you guys ready to hear this? Those of you who have an affinity for the darker things may also be beings that exited the matrix early in a past life and had to go to the realm called Hela to recuperate from the heaviness of earth and recuperate from the trauma of earth. And then, you know, you build relationship with the beings like Persephone and La Santa Muerte, and these beings that are there to help us be rehabilitated when we experience very traumatic, whether it be like that you get murdered or you commit suicide or whatever. So the Christians really got it kind of wrong when it comes to the realm of hell. The realm of hell is really a place where the soul goes to heal from trauma. When someone's evil, they don't go to hell. Their soul gets eliminated. When they're extremely evil, their soul gets devoured. It gets devoured and then recycled and then put back into the fountain of life to be cleansed and purified, and then to become part of new souls. But the realm of hell is actually not the place that evil people go. The realm of hell is actually the place that souls go that need rehabilitation, that need healing. And a lot of the times, those of us who spent a lot of times there because maybe our soul wasn't capable of withstanding the level of darkness that was on earth, the heaviness that was on earth, our soul may go there. This is why they say Joshua went to hell first and then he rose to heaven. Because you have to go through hell first for your soul to recuperate and your soul to heal, and then you rise to paradise. You go through the 9 gates, and your soul goes to your higher self judgment, and then from there you can choose to either reincarnate or to live in eternal paradise, and your soul elevates, and then you don't have any more reincarnations here on earth, or you might choose to reincarnate on another planet, whatever. If you're experiencing like feeling drained, I would suggest booking a spiritual consultation. Your body may need, your spiritual body may need a recharge. No one should, in my opinion, based on what the Loa have taught me, no one should approach a Loa if the Loa hasn't approached you first. If you want to know whether you have the permission to work with a Loa, you can get a reading with a priest or priestess that is initiated in the practice. That obviously, to be a priestess, you have to be initiated. You can't just be a priestess without initiation. You have to speak to a priest or priestess and find out if that Loa is okay with you communicating with them and asking them for assistance and building a relationship with them. Yes, you can be living alternate realities and dreams and dimensions. Sometimes when you're dreaming, you see into other dimensions that your soul might be incarnated in. Also, if you're a person that dissociates a lot, that means that you probably have other dimensions that you're in. So like people who like are diagnosed with ADHD, a lot of the times either they have ADHD because they are overstimulated, or they have ADHD because they are actually traveling. Their higher self is connecting to many different dimensions at the same time, which is why a lot of people with ADHD tend to have a lot of different hobbies, right? Like they have like 7 or 8 or 9 different talents. And it's because they are incarnated in 9 different dimensions. So that's why it happens. Yeah. So when you're traveling through multiple different dimensions, sorry, my hair self is talking to me right now. So when you're traveling through multiple different dimensions, you dissociate. You also dissociate when you go through trauma. That opens portals to other dimensions when you go through certain trauma. The best thing that you can do when your mind is all over the place is center yourself. Center yourself into the present moment. Because when your mind is all over the place, that means that your mind is connected to multiple different timelines at the same time. Like right now, the longer that I stay live with you guys, the more that my energy gets drained, because as I'm channeling information down and I'm giving it to you guys, there is a connection that's happening between the higher realms, my body, and you guys. There is a connection here that is happening. So my energy is being drained as I am giving this information. So that's the reason why we talk about energy exchanges when it comes to information, because when we are channeling information and when we're doing readings, there is a energy drain that happens, and then the vessel has to take time to sleep, to rest, to recuperate from the energy drain and from that channeling session. So yeah, so when you are having vivid dreams, a lot of the times it's you visiting or seeing other dimensions of yourself. If you're able to do that, then you're very awakened spiritually. You just don't know how to control it. Yeah, your guides, some of your guides will teach you in your dreams. My guides teach me while I'm awake, while I'm dreaming. They will download information. And also because I am someone who can read the Akashic records, then I also can channel information from the Akashic records about different topics. So, which if you work on it through meditation, through dedication, you can also do if you purify your intentions. Only those who have pure intentions are able to access the Akashic. That's why even more evil people they usually are given a spirit guide that is very, very, very purified in order to be able to, connect with the Akashic records. So yeah, so then you need to center yourself. You need to center yourself in the present moment. If you can't remember your dreams at all, then that means that there may be an extra veil that your spirit guides have put in place. There may also be, a veil that someone else put in place so that you're not able to see what is happening. So let's say if someone is doing work on you, I really wouldn't be able to tell you specifically for yourself unless I do a reading. If someone is doing work on you and they don't want you to know what's happening, they can put a veil so that you're not able to remember your dreams. Also, if you're very uncentered, it's harder for your spirit guides to be able to communicate with you and for you to remember your dreams. All right, everyone. So anyway, it's time for me to go now. My spirit guides are saying it's time for me to go now. So I will leave you all with this. So remember, what this conversation started with was everyone and everything is a lesson or an investment. So learn to grow your discernment so that you're able to tell the difference. All right, everybody. You're welcome. Many blessings.